Well, greetings. I'd like to talk to you today about money. Something rather different from the coronavirus nonsense that we've had to put up with for the last 6 months. I'd like to talk to you about money. What is money? What's happening to it? Where are we going with it? We're hearing some new phraseology on the block at the moment, aren't we? We're hearing digital currency, cryptocurrency, all these kind of things have come into play. And those of you who have been following me for many years, of course, will know that I'm an unreconstructed gold bug. I'm a gold bug, and I'll just recap quickly why I'm a gold bug. This is a 1908 sovereign, and it was equivalent in 1908 of about a pound. It was the equivalent of a pound coin. It looks like a pound coin today, the difference being that this, of course, is gold. So it's a pound coin, the sovereign of yesteryear, 1908. And what would it buy you? Well, broadly speaking, it would buy you bed, breakfast, an evening meal in a middle-ranking hotel in London. The value of a gold sovereign today is about 380 quid, and it'll do the same again. And if you dig it out, in my antecedents dig it out in 100 years' time, and they dig out this gold sovereign, it will buy bed, breakfast, and an evening meal in a middle-ranking hotel because it's a store of value. It doesn't lose its value because it's gold. And that is the whole point of it. And of course, it's been gold for 5,000 years, so the provenance of gold is well understood. It does fluctuate in price, of course it does, but it fluctuates against paper currency, fiat currency, and it's they which are fluctuating in the main, not gold itself. Gold isn't an investment. Don't mistake gold as an investment. Gold is money. So you must understand that. It's not like equities or even bonds. Gold is money. So that's something that one needs to understand straight away. And of course, as soon as they exchanged this totally for paper money, which really came about in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. He took the reserve currency of the world off the gold standard, the Yankee dollar. And what happened then in 1971? Well, of course, they printed, because you can print money. You just print it when you need it. And of course, it's largely printed ab initio to fund the Vietnam War. Printing money is usually about war. And in subsequent years, it's about welfare or vote buying, if you much prefer. So that's actually what happened in 1971. So your United States dollar today will buy you only 8% or so of what it would buy you in 1971. So the currency is completely and utterly degraded. And of course, you know, and all the other fiat currencies were too, all the other paper currencies were too. Now, what's the effect of that? Well, of course, the effect of that is that prices go up. Your prices go up very significantly. So you find now that, for example, when I was 18 and I was having my first pint of legal beer in the Tiger's Head in Chislehurst all those years ago, I think it was 1968, something like that, a pint of beer was 5p in new money today, 5p. And I was in there, funnily enough, unusually, I hadn't been in for all those years. And I went in and I had a pint a little while ago, and the pint was just over £4. That's a degradation of money. The cost of actually brewing a pint of beer hasn't gone up by that amount. It's just the cost of the degradation of money that's made it that way. And of course, you'll know, if you remember, if you go back even only 10 years, a family car, your Ford Mondeo or something of that nature, your family car, your bog standard middle-range family car would be about 13 grand. And today, if you want one, it will be about 26 grand. So it's doubled. But again, it's not the cost of actually making the car, it's a degradation of money, and this is going on all the time. It's going on all the time. So that's the reason I'm a gold bug, because it's money and it's a wealth preservation piece of kit. It preserves wealth. It's not investment, it's not there to make money, it's there to make sure that if you retire at 60 and you've got £100,000 in your bank account or savings account, if you transfer it into these gold sovereigns, you'll find that in 10 or 15 or 20 years' time, it will buy you what it buys today. It won't be degraded. If you just leave it in the bank with very little interest in fiat currency, paper money, that's what will happen. It will just be degraded. And when you actually really need it, it won't be there. Now, to come on to the new stuff on the block, cryptocurrency, digital currency, and of course we have digital currency already of a sort, don't we? You go in to borrow £20,000 to buy a car, for example, borrow the money to buy a car. It's created out of thin air by the bank clerk in your bank. If you're a good customer, he just credits it, he just taps it in. So it's digital in its own way, it's electronic. It didn't exist before. Bingo, it exists when you walk out of the bank and you buy your car with it, and the guy selling the car puts in his bank account, so on and so forth. But it's not real money. It's not real money. It's just a sort of a digit. They don't even print it. In the old days, of course, they'd print it. They'd print notes. They don't do that now. They just credit your account with electronic money. But it comes manufactured out of thin air, which is why, of course, you're much better off with this kind of thing. However, to look at the new stuff, cryptocurrency, and of course the one we all know best, we've all heard of, even if we're not altogether sure how it works, is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is a very interesting concept in that it is, in fact, a digital currency, an international digital currency, but it can't be degraded because there's a finite amount. Now, admittedly, you can mine gold, but you don't. In the big picture, it does make a very big difference to the amount of gold on the planet, the amounts that's mined. It is too small. But cryptocurrency in the form of the currency that we have today in Bitcoin can't be cheated. The government can't manufacture it. Now, the government talk about having a digital currency or cryptocurrency themselves. They're saying, oh, yes, let's do that. But of course, if governments control it via their central banks, they can degrade it. And they will degrade it because that's what they do. They are in the business. And they admit this isn't a theory. This is an hypothesis. They admit it. They say it's their full intention to degrade the currency by 2% a year. In inflation. They're saying that is their aim. That is their aim. And of course, most of us who look at these things, know that inflation's significantly more than 2%. Well, they would have us, it's only 2%. It's absolute nonsense. And of course, inflation depends on you. Inflation for one person isn't the same as another. If you've got kids at school, your inflation is different to if you're retired. Or your inflation, if you're a student, is different to that of a middle-aged businessman, so on and so forth. So everybody has their own different rate, but I can assure you it's a lot more than 2%. It doesn't matter who you are. And you probably, if you're watching this, you know that already. So we have this digital cryptocurrency, which can't be degraded, which is, as I say, new on the block. Now, it's been around for a while. Of course it has, and that's why you've heard of it. It's been around for a while. However, it seems to me that cryptocurrency or digital currency is the way the world is going, whether we like it or not. Now, this, I haven't changed my mind. Gold is a strategic reserve. Even the central banks believe that, which is why they're building their positions in gold. It's a strategic reserve. But I can't really go down, can I, I can't buy a Mars bar or a bottle of whiskey with this because it's 380 quid. Things have to be, you have to be able to exchange. It's a medium of exchange, not just a store of wealth. So we have to be realistic. And so we have to settle our bills. And of course, Bitcoin is a good way of settling bills. Now, this is new and it's volatile. But I have 95% of my portfolio is gold and the rest is silver at the moment. And I've invested in Bitcoin for the simple reason I have to diversify. Now, don't run away with the idea that somehow it's gold versus Bitcoin. It isn't. They're totally complementary. They are undegradable currencies. One is stood the test of time. And is a strategic reserve currency, which is gold, and the other is a new guy on the block, which might be useful for actually international debt settlement, which can't be degraded by government. It is volatile, it's significantly volatile, it's even more volatile than silver, and I have a portion of that as well. But just beware that if you decide, and this isn't a recommendation that you buy Bitcoin, just because I have, what I'm saying is that be prepared for a bumpy ride until the understanding and the acceptance of cryptocurrency is more global and more user-friendly. And the Bitcoin community is very friendly. Everybody's been very, very helpful to me because I'm new to this. I'm not new to the concept, but I'm new to the logistics of it. It's difficult to buy if you're an old geezer like me who's not particularly techie. So get your granddaughter or get your grandson to help you, or better still, get somebody who's already invested in Bitcoin to help you along the path, as I have. I have a colleague who's helped me, and I couldn't have bought it without him, to be brutally frank. I couldn't have done it. It was too complex. That's got to change. It's got to become easier. Now, the people who've made it easier don't actually necessarily let you have it. Now, if you don't hold this in specie, in a lockup in Leeds or London, you don't own it. Somebody else owns it, they're giving you a certificate. You must own gold. You must have it in your hand. You must have it in specie, or you don't really own it. And it's the same with Bitcoin. It must be in what they call a wallet. It must be in your personal wallet with your personal access, so you don't have a counterparty risk. If you have gold or Bitcoin with a counterparty risk, you're wasting the whole point of doing it. It has to be yours, so it can't be stolen. And again, let's be brutally frank. Who's most likely to steal it? Burglar? Mugger? Not really, is it? No, you know who's going to steal it. It's the government, isn't it? The government are the people who steal your money in very big numbers. So what we need to do is make sure that whether it's gold strategy or whether it's Bitcoin, you've put it somewhere where the kleptocracy, which is what most Western governments are, they can't steal it. I'll be posting a bit more about my journey through this Bitcoin experience, which is quite fun. It's quite fun, and I'm learning a lot as I go. And Bitcoin people, as I say, are very friendly and they'll help you, but they do tend to speak in gobbledygook quite a lot of the time. So if you can find somebody who's already got Bitcoin, who actually doesn't speak Serbo-Krat or Mandarin to you in gobbledygook terms. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research-based. And I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.